कुंज बिहारी जय राधा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदा यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदा यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदा यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shatasri Srimati Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravindha Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramhansa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shatasri Srimat Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की. ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की. मथुरापुरी धाम की. पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की. श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की. गंगा मैया की, यमुना मैया की, भक्ति देवी की, श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की. श्री श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र मैया की. श्री श्री गौर निताय की. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5th, Chapter 19th, The Island of Jambudvip. Text number 21st. Etadeva hi deva gayanti aho amisham kimakari shobhanam prasanna esham sviduta swayam harihi Janma labdham drushu bharata jire Mukunda sevau paikam spruhahinaha Etadeva hi deva gayanti अहो अमीशां किमकारिशोभनम् प्रसन्न एषां स्विदुत स्वयं हरिः येर्जन्म लब्धं दृशु भारताजिरे मुकुन्द सेवौपैकं स्पृहाहिनः एतदेव हि देवा गायन्ति अहो अमीशां किमकारिशोभनम् प्रसन्न एषां स्विदुतः स्वयं हरिः यैर्जन्म लब्धं दृशु भारताजिरे मुकुन्द सेवौपैकं स्पृहाहिनः एतदेवा हि देवा गायन्ति अहो अमीशां किमकारिशोभनम् प्रसन्न एषां स्विदुतः स्वयं हरिः
अहो अमीशां किमकारिशोभनम् प्रसन्न एषां स्विदुतः स्वयं हरिः जन्मलब्धं शुभारताजिरे मुकुन्द सेवौपैकं स्पृहाहिनः
माताजी's एतदेवा हि देवा गायन्ति अहो अमीशां किमकारिशोभनम् प्रसन्न एषां स्विदुतः स्वयं हरिः यैर्जन्मलब्धं दृशु भारताजिरे मुकुन्द सेवोपैकं स्पृहाहिनः. The word-to-word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Etat, this, eva, indeed, he, certainly, devaha, all the demigods, gayanti, chant, aho, oh, amisham, of these inhabitants of Bharatvarsh, kim, what, akari, was done, shobhanam, pious, beautiful activities, prasannaha, pleased, esham, upon them, swat, or, uta, it is said, swayam, personally, harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yaihi, by whom, janma, birth, labdham, obtained, nushu, in human society, bharata ajire, in the courtyard of Bharatvarsha, mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can offer liberation, seva aupayikam, which is the means of serving, spruha, desire, he, indeed, naha, our. Translation, since the human form of life is the sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak in this way. How wonderful it is for these human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatvarsha. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharatvarsha, to execute devotional service, but these human beings are already engaged there. Purport. These facts are further explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 9.41. भारत भूमिते हैल मनुष्य जन्मजार, जन्म सार्थक करी कर परोपकार. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. There are many facilities in India, Bharatvarsha, for executing devotional service. In Bharatvarsha, all the acharyas contributed their experience, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally appeared to teach the people of Bharatvarsha how to progress in spiritual life and be fixed in devotional service to the Lord. From all points of view, Bharatvarsha is the special land where one can very easily understand the process of devotional service and adopt it to make his life successful. If one makes his life successful in devotional service and then preaches devotional service in other parts of the world, people throughout the world will actually benefit. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all the devotees to today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class, and especially seek blessing Maharaj so that I can try to repeat some of the words of Srila Prabhupada. This is very nice section, the previous chapter as well as this chapter, in which the 9 verses of Jambudvip are being described. The residents there, headed by their chief, is glorifying, they are all glorifying the Supreme Lord. In particular, like in Purush Varsha, the earlier one, Hanumanji heading all others, worshipping Lord Ram there and offering prayers. They all are doing that. And this last, the 9th, is being discussed now, Bharat Varsha, in which Naranarayan Rishi is being worshipped and glorified, headed by Narad Muni and all the residents. And very nice section, in particular this 21st to 28, 8 verses talk about glories of Bharat Varsha. And chapter almost ends, then the chapter proceeds, because this is Bhumandal is being described, the middle one, Jambudvip 9 verses, that is happening, that is described, and then it will proceed to the other 6 dvipas apart from Jambudvip, like Shalmali Dvip, Kraunch Dvip, and many other dvipas, who worships whom and all the details of that. But this particular chapter, Bharatvarsha. So we are all residents of Bharatvarsha, and speciality here in this 21st verse, the birth is suitable to worship Mukunda, is being said like that by the demigods in the upper planetary system. Mukunda sevoi paikam, Mukunda seva upayikam. That is, Sridhar Swami says upayogi. It is very useful for the service of Lord Mukunda, who can give us liberation. And according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the last three words, spruha hi naha, so the demigods are saying that we are not able to get birth over there. Natu praptihi. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, we are not having enough pious credits or the things required to be able to take birth in Bharatvarsha. So demigods themselves require a lot of pious deeds to reach over there in the upper planetary system. But they are saying that we are not fortunate enough to be able to take birth in this Bharatvarsha. So in earlier, ahead shlokas, they talk about, especially 22nd and all, what is the difference between heaven and earth, in particular over here, Bharatvarsha. So in heaven, there is hardly any distress over there. So much of pleasure there, as we have been hearing so many times. And in Bharatvarsha, here, we have Sukha and Dukkha, the combination of two. That makes us also think time and time again that what is the goal of life. That will obviously happen, because the distress is not the thing one wants. But when it comes, just like COVID period, so many people were put to thinking, even atheistic people and all those who thought that whole world is in my control and we are controlling, we are making so much advancement. Everybody was cooled down to great extent, because it was quite a long period of time that people underwent a lot of difficulties. In the heaven, there is a long life, a lot of sense gratification, whereas on earth over here, life is short, of short duration. But by performing devotional service, one can perfect one's existence in this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, to rejoin in our own original position of being servants of Krishna. So that way the demigods are glorifying. Very amazingly, Prabhupada is quoting Bharata Bhumite Haila Manushya Janmajar. So the Bharatvarsh, if you see Jambudvip, that's a very big tract of land. Himalayas is thousands of kilometers long, wide and all that. And this side of the Bharatvarsha has 9 khandas. One of them is Bhukhanda, and that is what is this earth, Bhumi, Bharata Bhumi. So Prabhupada is focusing on this part only. In fact, one part in particular, he is focusing on Bharat Bhumi. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, that those who are born in India, that translation, Prabhupada says, one who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, and in bracket Bharatvarsha. So the focus is on all of us, those who are born in India. Mahaprabhu is also saying that those who have taken birth in India, they have to perfect their lives and help others to perfect their lives. So that is a great fortune that we have been given, great responsibility as well, that when higher things are given to one is expected to lead a very ideal life. So Bharat Bhumi, Mahaprabhu is saying, so that's what Prabhupada is also focusing on. So I am also will be trying to focus on that part, the last part, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appeal is that Janma Sarthaka Kari Kara Para Upakar. One should perfect one's life and help others to perfect their lives. So this is what I will try to focus on in our discussion today, in particular about preaching, cultivating missionary spirit. And this is what one topic was given to me some 6 years back in Chennai. So because it was a short time for me, Antadip Prabhu was supposed to give class, but somehow it came to me. So I'm just repeating what was prepared. Dharmo rakshati rakshataha. If you protect dharma, the protected dharma will protect you back. So what was done in the service of Srila Prabhupada 6 years back, we'll try to repeat over here. So that way I will get purified. So this preaching is a very noble act, and all our acharyas, right from the Supreme Lord himself, they take pleasure in preaching, giving Krishna consciousness to one and all. That helps in our own uplifting also. Just like if I take somebody to Delhi, where do I reach? I automatically reach Delhi. So that is the beauty of preaching. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came in this world to spread Harinam Sankirtan. One of the 3 external reasons is to chant, to spread Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in South India, he was in Kurma Kshetra and he met Kurma Brahman. Kurma Brahman was so much inspired by Mahaprabhu's association, Lord's association, how intoxicating it would be. So he said, I want to come with you. Mahaprabhu said, no, You are a grahastha, you stay in grahastha life, and you jare dekho tare kaho, Krishna Upadesh, Amara Agya Guru Haya, Tare Desh. You spread this holy name to one and all. Give to everyone whom you come across. And then he says, Kabuna Badibe Tomara Vishaya Taranga, Punarapi Yaitai Pabe Mora Sangha. So he says, Kabuna Badibe Tomara Vishaya Taranga. The waves of sense objects will never touch you. Kabuna Badhibe Tomar Vishaya Taranga. That is one thing. The Maya you will be aloof from. You will be aloof from Maya. And second is more. He says, Punara Piya Ithai Pabe Mora Sangha. And in this very place you will have my association. So this is for blessing for those, all those who practice as per Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. Jare dekho, tare kaho, Krishna Upadesh. Whosoever you meet, then to them you spread, give the message of Krishna. Amar Agya Guru Haya Tare Desh. Sometimes the contamination comes that I also want to be Guru. Sometimes within ISKCON circle, when we see, as much as material desires are there, then we may think I also want to be Guru and this and that. But more important is to follow the instructions that are meant for Guru. So Mahaprabhu is saying, Amara Agya Guru Haya Tare Desh. You perfect your life and you help others. You become the Guru, small Guru, whatever, Pathapadakshak Guru, Shiksha Guru, whatever is required, that you follow, and then your life will be perfect. And you will have the association of the Supreme Lord. Now if you see there, he says, Punarapi Yaitai, in this place, you will have my association. But as per the Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's description, it doesn't talk about Mahaprabhu did reach Nasik, and by the bank of the Godavari, he did go to Godavari's end, Rajamundri, Kur, he met Ramanand Rai, and then he went back. But in the return journey, there is no description of Mahaprabhu coming and meeting Kurma Brahman again and all those details. So what does it mean? It means that one will have experience of the Lord at every moment, if one is following the instructions of the Lord. Because when one follows the instructions of the Lord, one is with him. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, never was there a time when I was not with my spiritual master. So now we see, practically speaking, apparently it doesn't appear like that. Way back in 36 only, Bhaktivedanta Thakur left body, and Prabhupada was there till 77. So 41 years, apparently he did not have association of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. But because he was always focused in fulfilling the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he always had the association of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, in the physical absence of the spiritual master, the words of instructions of the spiritual master are the pride of the disciple. Disciple should take pride that my spiritual master has given me some instruction and I should just follow them. That's all. That is the only goal of my life. And one who does like this, he will always have the association of his spiritual master. So that way Kurma Brahman also had. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also one day called Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. Shuno Shuno Nityananda, Shuno Haridas, Amaragya Sarvatra Karaho Prakash, Prati Ghare Ghare Giya Mago Yehi Bhiksha, Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna Karo Krishna Shiksha. So one day he called Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, said, my dear Nityananda, Haridas Thakur, you go to each and every person in Navadvip and request them that Krishna is your father, Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your life and soul. So please chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, and they would exactly follow that. Nityananda in his tour of 20 years all throughout India, all the holy places, he did not open his mouth anywhere to preach any time, not even once. Once he asked one question to Buddhists and they could not answer, he just kicked them and they laughed and they ran away. But he did not say anything, he did not preach. But when did he preach? Here, because he was instructed to preach. And as such, we all have been instructed to preach by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and down the line by Prabhupada also, that I have given, whatever I have given you, you give it to others. Ours is a pushing moment. My spiritual master pushed me, I am pushing you all, you push rest of the world. Ours is a pushing moment. Pushing means not jor jabardasti, not forcing people, but inspiring. Inspiring by our lifestyle, by ourselves following first. So both of them would go, and with all humility, Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, they would knock at the door of Navadvipasis. And when the person would open the door, he would find no one there. Why? Because both of them are flat on the ground, paying obeisances to that householder. And he would say, oh my dear sir, what are you doing? Please get up. Then they would say, please sir, Krishna is your father, Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your life and wealth. Please chant the holy name of Krishna. He would say, okay, I will chant, don't be so humble. But some others would be rejecting, they would be insulting. But irrespective of whether they would honor or insult, Mahaprabhu, the Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they would go on, preaching the message to everyone. And in the evening they would give report, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had told both of them, in the evening give me report. So also one should go out for preaching on the instruction, and whosoever has instruction, the given instruction, we should report him back. That, my dear Prabhu, Maharaj, whatever, you told me to preach in this area, I have been preaching, this happened till now. What is the next thing that I am supposed to do? So that reporting is very important part of preaching. Advaita Acharya, also seeing the situation of Navadvip, he felt that in his humility, that I am not capable of preaching. Though he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, Sadashiva himself, but he felt I am not capable of. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of Vaikuntha, if he comes in this world and preaches, then all the Navadvipasis and all the materialistic people all over the world, they will be able to accept. So I have to call him. And then we know how he called. He found in Gautamiya Tantra the verse through which he offered Ganga Jal along with Tulsi Dal to the Lord, Shaligram Shila, and Lord was called. So humility is very important. Humility is very important. Same thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur also. He also felt that I am not able to rectify the situation of the world. Only if a ray of Vishnu is sent to me, then with his help something could be done. And as a result, we know Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born, and then he could spread. Obviously Bhaktivinoda Thakur also preached. He could also do a lot of preaching, but in his humility he felt one more person is required. Then Jiva Goswami also, we find, he sent 3 of his Shiksha disciples, Narottam Das Thakur Mahasaya, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamanand Pandit, to Bengal to preach. Those days the books were not even there. Only the original copies were there. They were carrying the original copies, and the book distribution scores are also there. They would send to Jiva Goswami. Those scores are also available. So this is preaching. But what score means not so easy. The book has to be copied down. Can you imagine? The smallest of the books like Perfection of Yoga, having some 60 pages. If you have to copy it down, it takes long time. Hare Krishna Mahamantra for chanting, it takes hardly 5 to 7, 8 minutes. But same thing if you have to write, it takes long time. 16 rounds, we have experience sometimes as punishment. We have written 108 Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It took for me 1 hour 15 minutes with high speed per 108. But that only while chanting it is very fast. So the books would be copied, and then the books would be given to the person, and that's how they would send the scores also. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas also for the sake of preaching. He was in the householder order, in the grihastha order, and the people were not respectful. Then he found that only way they would respect me is if I take sannyas, and for that reason he took sannyas. So if at all somebody goes for sannyas, he should go for preaching only, for expanding preaching. Guru has told, Guru has that motive only, that my disciple should help me in preaching, expanding all over the world. So he should take sannyas. So sannyas is mainly for preaching only. And that is also told. Prabhupada says brahmacharis means to acquire the best education. Brahmachari is a student life. Prabhupada always in the bracket says many times. And so student, Vidya, he should desire Vidya. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. Always, throughout life. I can never say that I know everything. That is the grand illusion. So brahmachari means he is always eager to learn more and more and more. Grihastha life is for gratifying senses with the charitable disposition. So they are allowed to some extent some sense gratification under Guru's order and with charitable disposition. Vanaprastha for penance, lot of austerities in Vanaprastha life. And sannyas is for preaching the absolute truth to the people in general. So sannyasis are supposed to preach, and brahmacharis can be assistants to such preachers of Krishna consciousness. Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Nacha tasman manusheshu kashin me priyakrittama. There is no one more dear to me than he who preaches my message to one and all, to devotees in particular. So we have to preach, it is instructed directly. But certainly one should know that I am not qualified, so I should assist. Prabhupada says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's method of preaching is singing, dancing and refreshment. Chanting, dancing and feasting. So that is what is method of preaching. When should one preach? One should preach all the time. Saint Francis of Assisi says one should preach 24 hours a day all throughout one's life. And if need be, one should speak also. That means one has to practice also. Through his life he should preach 24 hours a day. And whenever there is required, he can open his mouth also. Amongst the devotees, our actions will speak certainly louder than our words. Words also should be there. But in the outside world, where people are not going to see whether you get up morning 4 o'clock or not, you have been getting up for last several decades and you have been attending Mangal Aarti, that people will not know. So that's why we have to open our mouth and tell them how you are not body, you are spirit, soul, so many things like that. But amongst devotees, more or less everybody gets up at 4 o'clock also. So there the actions will matter. How we conduct ourselves in our spiritual practices. So one should preach all the time. Bhishma Dev we can see, lying on the bed of arrows he is preaching. So who can preach? Here this is very easy to preach. This is so soft, my God, super soft. But by lying on the bed of arrows or sitting on the bed of arrows, who can preach? Nothing will come. Even if one pin is pricking here somehow, so we will be all the time conscious of that only. After the end, we will ask the person, what is this? What kind of Vyasasana was that? Did you not take care? But Bhishma Dev, not one pin, not one arrow, thousands of arrows pricked all over the body. But he was so smoothly preaching. Because when the mind is absorbed in Krishna, then the bodily condition doesn't matter. That kind of absorption level is required, and Bhishma had it. Srila Prabhupada, following exactly in the footsteps of Bhishma Dev, we can see he was on the deathbed, and still the Bhakti Vedanta purports are going on so smoothly. Everything is revolving, moving by the will of the Supreme. This consciousness is called as Krishna consciousness. So crystal clear. Absolutely no ambiguity. He did not say, oh, we are not souls, we are body. He never said that. Because the consciousness is completely absorbed in Krishna. So one should preach. To whom one should preach? Who can preach? Whom is preaching meant for? It is generally meant for Madhyamadikaris, second class devotees. Uttamadikaris, they are most perfect. They can preach. But in their humility, they feel the whole world is Krishna conscious, except one person, myself. So they may not preach. But it is said even Uttamadikaris come down to the level of Madhyamadikari for the sake of preaching. Come down, we should not think that they must be breaking one of the 4 regulative principles so that they come down. No, their earlier consciousness which says that I am only fallen soul, everybody is pure devotee. From that consciousness level, they see that for whatever reason, Guru's order or whatever, they see that a lot of people are not Krishna conscious. They need to be given Krishna consciousness. So that is what it means by coming down, not breaking any regulative principles or reducing devotional life, not that. And Kanishtadikaris, they are not fit because fight, neophyte, lot of fights, lot of struggle, lot of conflict within the heart only, and obviously that comes out in terms of fight with people around, devotees around. So such a person also, filled with envy to great extent, he won't be able to preach. As His Grace Sankarshadass Adhikari Prabhu says, what will you preach? Your anarthas. So sometimes we are too much bubbling. I want to preach. What will you preach? You will preach your anarthas. No, get empowered. Preach or assist those who are capable or who are pure. So Madhyamadikari, even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Bhakti Devi follows the desire of the Madhyamadikari and goes to a person whom he desires to have bhakti. So Bhakti Devi will follow. The neophytes, they can also assist if they keep aside their own individual agendas and opinions. They submit to the superior order. Then, or if they cooperate to preach and maintain, then it is allowed for them also. Narad Muni is one of the best preachers. He is a highly successful preacher. Many times we conduct one-time program and we are thinking, how many boys came, how many, Our Narad Muni's first one-time program for 10,000 Haryashwas, 10,000 sons of Daksha. And how many took up Mala, started one round? All, not 16 rounds, unlimited rounds, they became brahmacharis only, surrendered fully. So one-time program, 10,000 brahmacharis. And next one-time program, shorter one, of shorter duration, 1,000 brahmacharis. That includes all chanting and complete dedication. So Narad Muni is the best preacher. As Rajesh Ampuru says, Prabhupada is Jet Age Parivrajacharya, following in the footsteps of Narad Muni. That's why we have him exactly under Narad Muni, because he followed in the footsteps of Narad Muni. For Prabhupada's statement, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in 1903 made the statement, very soon that Acharya will come who will preach all over the world, like that. So in those days there were no planes. So how would one preach all over the world? So that's why the Wright brothers got right intelligence. Hum bhi udenge. We'll also fly. And they discovered this planes because Prabhupada had to fulfill the instruction or the prophecy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we can see if one has a desire, everything will be arranged. If Acharyas have said, it will happen. Only how much we contribute, how much we assist, that much share of mercy we also get. Prabhupada in the second canto, 8th chapter, 6th verse, he says how the devotees face troubles in preaching, just like Jesus Christ in his preaching endeavors was crucified. So he says, but such difficulties are gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. So Lord's reciprocation, ye yatha mam prapadyante. So how much trouble you take for me, Krishna says, that much bliss I will award you. So that is Lord's promise for sure. So we cannot afford to have cozy life. I'll just sit here and that's all. Let the whole world go to hell. No. My heart cries, or at least my superior's heart cries, and I feel for my superior's heart. They are crying so much. Just like in the house, somebody lost something, or he's crying a lot. So we feel. So I want to do something for him. So Prabhupada cried unlimited tears. So we have to go and help Prabhupada to wipe off his tears. So he has asked us. So in one place Prabhupada says, preaching the cult of devotional service is like declaring war against material life. It's a big war. Because all are stuck in passion and ignorance. And we are trying to bring them, as Prabhupada says, to Brahminical culture, and from there to pure goodness, to pure bhakti. So it's like war against material energy. But still the strength would be given by all the acharyas. That is, by their grace it is possible. Because they want that this preaching should spread, this Krishna consciousness should spread all over the world. So the strength will be given. Also in one place Prabhupada says, the Lord shakes hand with the preacher in great satisfaction. Could we imagine? Many times, maybe in earlier life, or even sometimes we want to shake hand with some great personality. So Lord shakes hand with the preacher of Krishna consciousness. He did it with Brahmaji. So then ahead he says, one of the offenses to devotees, the first and foremost, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for preaching the cult of Krishna consciousness. So we should not offend Vaishnavas. Rather, the strength for preaching will come by blessings of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnav Seva. One who has rendered Vaishnav Seva very nicely has been doing that. And this is the goal of his life. So he will be able to please the Lord by rendering more and more service to Vaishnavas, and Lord will empower him. Just like Prabhupada also has rendered lot of service to his God brothers. If we read the book of Her Grace, Mula Prakriti Mataji, our Srila Prabhupada, a friend to all. In that, lot of his interactions with his God brothers as well as many outsiders, well-wishers are given. So there we can see how Prabhupada was such a loving person. Very, very great. Like in Kolkata Pandal program, after the program was over, thousands crowding Prabhupada, and somehow he got down from the stage and his pathway, his way to car was there, and all the people, they knew this great sadhu has to reach the car. Car door is also open. So only that much passage was left, and Prabhupada was going surrounded by thousands of people. And amazingly, he just went in the crowd to one person who was one of his God brothers in Grihastha Ashram, very simple devotee from Kolkata. He had also come, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disciple. So he had come and he was there. He was appreciating, my God brother has fulfilled the prophecy of Mahaprabhu and also has fulfilled the desire of my spiritual master. He was just appreciating. Prabhupada came right there, caught his hands and said, thank you Prabhu for coming. Hope things are okay. So Prabhupada was so loving. He was always best in serving Vaishnavas. So what to preach? Prabhupada says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. One should preach that one should think of Krishna, one should worship Krishna, one should become devotee of Krishna, one should offer obeisances to Krishna. One should preach the glories and supremacy of the Lord, like Haridas Thakur preached. So that is another way of preaching. Or one can preach about human life, how it is meant for self-realization and God realization. That also can be preached. What is preaching? To get a person closer to Krishna by some means. For that matter, even offering prasad he is also preaching, because Krishna is entering his existence only, his body only. Or telling him, chant sir, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You can give mantra card. Our book distributors in the West, they give mantra card also. And make a person chant also. They just don't leave him with book. They give him mantra card, make him chant and request him, please chant in your life. And also they offer prasad also, like that. So some things we can implement in our preaching over here, giving mantra card and distribution of prasad also if possible. That will help. There are two types of devotees, as Prabhupada says, Goshtanandis and Bhajananandis. So Bhajananandis are the ones who sit in a holy place and keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Because they take ananda in bhajan. They have so much bliss experience in their bhajan. So that is very good. And they emanate very pure sound vibration, holy name. And it goes all throughout the creation. It occupies the ether. And when Goshtanandi, a preacher of Krishna consciousness, goes to a particular place, those waves hit back to that person and inspire him to take up the message which is offered by a Goshtanandi. So that's why both are required. Certainly Prabhupada wants us to be Goshtanandis, not that we sit in a holy place, because we are not capable of producing pure sound vibration anyway. So we cannot afford to be going to some holy dham and just sit and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And here 16 rounds we complete. That's great. So we have to follow the path of Goshtanandi. That means the preachers, they take pleasure in telling others, sir, this is how one has to chant and all that. So both are required. Both assist each other. Once when Bhaktisarang Thakur was crossing Ganges on a boat, and one of the followers, one of the new persons, he said, you are so accomplished, you preach so much, all over India, which we don't find Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj doing. So it was in one sense offense only. So Bhaktisarang Thakur immediately said, you see this motor which is moving this particular boat, that is supported by a battery. The battery doesn't make noise, it is invisible, but because of the battery the motor gets energized, and that's how the boat moves. So I am like this motor producing lot of sound, but my spiritual master is like the battery which is invisible and not producing noise, but he gave me the strength, he gave me the instructions, he gave me all the blessing. That's how something happened. So this is what is required. So both of them are in together. So Prabhupada says in one place, for preaching one requires, what are the requirement? Titikshabaha, Karunika, Suhrudas Sarvadinam. One requires a lot of tolerance, as Prabhupada says. Sometimes there are attacks, so many things. Karunika, still one has to be merciful. And then Suhrudas Sarvadinam, a friend to all living entities. So as much as we have got Krishna in our life, that much only we will be able to preach. Pranachayar, Sahetu Prachar. Only one who has life, he will be able to preach. A dead man, what can he preach? But the reverse is also true, that if we assist in preaching work, then we will get life. That life is nothing else but Krishna only. So as much as Krishna we have, that much we are inspired to preach. As in all the top book distributors of the world, when they came together and they have made some norms and so many things, so they say book distribution is overflow, preaching is overflow. Because out of the 4 laws of book distribution, the first is strong sadhana. So one who has done strong sadhana, attending morning program, chanting 16 good rounds, and many other such things, reading Prabhupada books daily, so then the sadhana is strong. Krishna has come through the years in the heart of the devotee, and then he will be inspired. He cannot keep quiet. He will be going out and he will preach. So one will sacrifice his cause his own, he will go out. In the Smriti Shastra, one of the verses which says that how much to eat. 50% stomach should be filled with solid food, 25% with water, 25% with air. So the air, it is said, Marutasya pracharartham chaturtham avasheshayet. For Maruti to preach, for the air, for air to be there in the stomach, pracharartham word is used, such a nice word. Marutasya pracharartham chaturtham avasheshayet. 1/4 should be kept for Maruti to preach. Maruti means air, for air circulation inside the stomach. But the word used is very nice, prachar. That means one has to move, one has to keep moving. One cannot settle in one very cozy place. Wherever we are, immediately we try to make it comfortable. Even in yatras we see, wherever we go, this is told, this is my room. Immediately I will find where my gamcha would be. After washing dhoti, where should it be hanging? So the 6 Goswamis would not even stay in under one tree, it is said like that. That doesn't mean that we should just keep moving only continuously. In book distribution we do that, but otherwise we could be, like sannyasis stay in one place for 3 days or sometimes more as per the preaching requirement. But otherwise, what does it mean? That means one should get out of one's comfort zone where one has been just nicely settling. So one has to get out. Prabhupada, for him, all the disciples made such wonderful quarters, such nice rooms. But Prabhupada never just happily stayed in one place. He just kept moving all over the world to guide and inspire all his disciples all over the world. In one place, Prabhupada says the benefit for preachers of 2 books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the benefit? It's very easy to get out of the illusory conditioned life imposed upon us by Maya. Just by preaching the message of the 2 books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we would be out of the illusory conditioned life imposed upon us by Maya. Krishna Shakti vina nahe tara pravartan. One will not be able to propagate Krishna consciousness without Krishna Shakti. So that's why one should not be just going out by oneself. One should be blessed like that. Certainly Mahaprabhu has blessed, Prabhupada has blessed in general for book distribution. For a particular preaching endeavor, we should seek blessings. Or when, just like Nityam Prabhu we talked, 20 years not preaching. Preached certainly through his example, but otherwise waited for the order. When order comes, the instruction comes, along with the instruction comes empowerment, comes mercy. And also if one is reporting, one will not fall prey to Maya at any time. One becomes famous by taking to devotional service and preaching. You will be very famous by preaching. Also sometimes we are concerned about fund collection, like that. Once one devotee was asking me, so fund is required. I said very easy, you preach. The more the people you preach, give them Krishna, with Krishna Lakshmi is also there. So then they will feel, they will not only open their hearts, but they will open the treasury they have. And lot of funds will come. One should not just be like a beggar and say, sir, give us money, we have to run the temple, this and that. No, you preach, give them Krishna. Give them Krishna, they will be satisfied, and certainly they will give life, what to speak of some amount of money. So that is the power of preaching. In another place, in Bhagavatam 4th canto, 23rd chapter, 29th verse, there is one word that is called a Shravayet. So Prabhupada says that one should not only read for himself, but should also induce others to read and hear. That is called preaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended this practice. So we read Prabhupada books, but we should also make others read. So in the forum which we regularly address, we can request devotees, please regularly read Prabhupada books. We can go to higher and higher levels also, but at least requesting others to read and hear. That is also preaching. There are 12 authorities: Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumaro, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlado, Janoko, Bhishmo, Balir, Vaiyasa, Kirvayam, the 12 Mahajanas. So they are the topmost preachers. They preach the absolute, about the absolute truth, the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So once in one place, Prabhupada was, when after he spoke on this, so one devotee said, Prabhupada, you are the 13th Mahajan. Prabhupada said, yes, and you are the 14th. Sit down. So that means Prabhupada is following in the footsteps of Mahajanas, and we follow in his footsteps, and then we can help so many people, and in that we certainly get delivered. Many more things to say, but I will end here because time. Any question? Certainly I am not fit to be preacher. I was thinking Maharaj could be speaking because it is talking about preaching all over the world. Then preachers devotional service in other parts of the world. People throughout the world will actually benefit. So Maharaj is the best. He goes all over the world. We go only within India. That too for change maybe. Acha, there we are. Mandali Badarpu, my preaching partner, for 2.5 years.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, for nicely sharing how Parampara is preaching throughout and inspiring all of us. So the question is that we often know that or observe also that giving is receiving. But over the period of time, we observe that some preachers or some devotees, they feel dry. That we heard also. So even while giving, we receiving things, how person becomes dry? What are the things which makes him dry along with when we giving?
Vaishnava aparad only. यदि वैष्णव अपराध उठे हाथी माता, उपाड़े व छिंडे तार सुखी जाए पाता. यदि वैष्णव अपराध, if one performs offense to a devotee, उठे हाथी माता, it is like allowing a mad elephant to enter in nicely trimmed garden. उपाड़े व छिंडे, either he will uproot or छिंडे, he will cut it with his legs. In either case, sukhi jaya pata, the leaves of the creeper would dry up. So one should never commit Vaishnava aparadha. Vaishnava seva, name ruchi, Vaishnava seva, jivadaya. This is the order. One who chants very nicely, he will serve Vaishnavas very nicely as their servant. Not that I am the boss. In material life, one makes progress by becoming bossanu boss. But in spiritual life, one makes progress by being dasanu das, servant of the servant of the servant. As King Kulashekar says, Mad janmana phalamidam madhukaita bhare, mad prathaniya mad anugraha esheva, tad bhrutya bhrutya paricharaka bhrutya bhrutya, bhrutyasya bhrutya itimam smara lokanatha. I want to be the servant of 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 your servants. So that should be very clear. So certainly through preaching we may get lot of name, fame, followers and all that. That should not enter in head. That should enter, we should also enter in that mood of being the servant. I am the servant of all of these people. That's how a guru is in that consciousness. All these disciples are my masters and I am only their humble servant. Because he is ready to serve them unlimitedly, that's how they accept him as their servant, in one sense, and otherwise their master. So that should never happen. When we are building the higher and higher floors, the foundation cannot be destroyed. The foundation is Vaishnava Seva, serving Vaishnavas. That is Vaishnava Seva. Through service only we respect Vaishnavas. We respect them through Vaishnava etiquettes also, and we serve them also as per their instruction. Then it will overflow into Jivadaya. So Nameruchi overflows into Vaishnava Seva, and that overflows into Jivadaya. True sense, like that. Otherwise, externally also one may just preach for whatever reasons. So that's why one has to be extremely careful. One cannot feel dry. And even otherwise, whether you preach or not preach, if you are offending Vaishnavas, we cannot make progress. All our progress, so to say, is only because of serving Vaishnavas, pleasing them. Otherwise, it is not like our glory. Our glory is our desire. I want to serve devotees. I want to serve more and more devotees. That's how we make progress. And when this is not there, rather we want to boss over the devotees, then everything is destroyed. So one should never do that. That's why regular hearing is required. Otherwise, all this rusting will happen over the consciousness. That's a regular. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. When we hear, then we understand that how I need to be very humble. I'm very insignificant. Just like fifth canto only we are reading. What dimensions these are? My God, mind-boggling. We don't have the measuring scale only by which we can measure this Himalaya dimension and all this up length, breadth, etc. So that itself makes us very humble. How tiny, puny I am. Very insignificant. Maharaj could add. Yes, one more maybe.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, just now you told that one should give this Krishna consciousness to each and every living entities, whoever he meet. In one of the classes, I heard from Maharaj that one should not be tolerant and humble towards non-devotee. I have a contradiction in my mind regarding this.
Yeah, for Madhyam Adhikari it is said also, he knows also how to deal with four varieties of people in four different ways. Ishwareshu, Tadadhuneshu, Balisheshu, Dvishashucha. So those who are envious, so one should not tolerate, doesn't mean that one should fight with them. That is, Prabhupada recommends so many things for Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. One can defeat him with sound logical argument. But if he is too envious only, he is not ready to listen, rather on the other hand he is blaspheming Lord as well as devotee, better we leave that place. So we should not tolerate means we should not continue hear him blaspheme or try to preach to him. So one should leave that place from such envious person. And we could request some Uttam Adhikari, some greater devotee, Maharajas, Prabhu, please, you may preach to him. I am not capable of. Does that satisfy? Or if you want to rephrase your question, you may again.
Actually, I was having a confusion that whether I should approach that person. Recently only during book distribution, I met one person. He was saying that you are doing violence by chanting and singing the holy name. So in the initial stage, I humbly told him that what's the process about, and they say, according to him, it's a movement that has been started by Prabhupada only. But I told him it's a movement which was happened in past also. So and then after that he started listening and then he kept mum. But in recent phases he said that it's a violence.
Yes, earlier they don't know, so they may say all those things. That's why we'll have to preach. We'll have to approach each and every person. But as and when you understand he's envious, beyond any listening to any logical statements or devotional instruction, then we'll have to leave that place. But many people who are in the category of innocent people, they may have their feeling that this is violence. They are unnecessarily creating so much nuisance, so much noise and all that. But just like this person you are talking about, when you told him some nice things based on Prabhupada books, then he kept mum at least. He accepted that these people are proper. He did not counter argue and all that. So that could be done like that. So we have to, some places like sometimes in the trains devotees are traveling, we are in majority, at least in that bogie, so we do loud kirtan. But one person could be upstart and he may say what nonsense, and he may become very furious and this and that. So then we may beg forgiveness and we may cool down. Maybe we can ask him, could we do sitting kirtans little quietly? So if he agrees, fine. Otherwise we'll have to better keep quiet also like that, because we don't want to wage war against. We are waging wars against material energy, but then the TT may come and we may be out of the train only, like that. One time we had to do that. I had gone for book distribution. Somehow I was distributing bogies after bogies. Somehow I entered in AC and the train moved. And when train moved, I lost balance. And I fell down on that one man who was there. Next to him, his wife was there. I was thinking, my God, thank God I did not fall on the wife. That would have been too terrible. So I fell on him and he was sleeping, which I did not know. So I did not know because I was in the process of balancing myself. So I fell down. I had these Radhesham's books, Art of Mind Control and Practical Tips to Mind Control. And I started showing him, sir, these are very nice books, like that. And in the process I said, how according to our, lifestyle, our desires we get. Somebody wants to sleep a lot, he will get polar bear's body and all that. Because I did not know that he was sleeping, I just in a normal way, because that examples are there. So he felt insulted. My God, this rascal, how dare of him to come here and do like this in AC bogie. He immediately asked, do you show your ticket? I said, my ticket is with my friends. He said, do you have AC ticket? I said, no, I don't have AC ticket. I have sleeper. He said, you are unqualified. He immediately snatched all the books. I had some 15, 20. I said, immediately he said that I will get the TT and put you in jail. Like that. And then when he went somewhere, then when I told all my friends, this is what happened. They said, immediately let us get down at the next station only. Shivaji Nagar came and we got down. By bus we came to Pune station. Though we had ticket like that. So he was a very envious person. He would have done so many things like that. So we have to know time, place, circumstances, how to deal like that. And you can pray to Prabhupada, pray to Acharyas to give us that right intelligence what to do in a particular place. Okay, Maharaj, please add something. You have been preaching all over the world, some inspirational words.
Generally, it can be sort of asked, and this question was asked to Srila Prabhupada also, that after preaching and exhaustingly preaching for many years, for being like a sort of a ghostly Nandi, can we take to being a bhajana Nandi, retire to the holy dhams? Then Srila Prabhupada quoted Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who said that the best ghostly Nandi is a bhajana Nandi who preaches.
Jai. Yes, I also have heard that within every bhajana Nandi there is Goshtanandi, and within every Goshtanandi there is bhajana Nandi. Like that. That's how Gaurkeshudas Babaji Maharaj, who was apparently a bhajana Nandi, he was the one who instructed Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself, before starting to preach in Kolkata, for 9 years or so, every day chanting at least 57, 58 rounds, more or less 64 rounds, making it 100 crore holy name, so that I get strength for preaching. So it is. Thank you, Maharaj. So we'll end here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी।